Welcome to the inaugural WGU Labs pitch competition. I'm Brad Bernatek. I'm the managing director for the WGU Labs Fund and Accelerator, and I'll be your host today for the competition. WGU Labs supports early stage innovation at Western Governors University, as well as in the higher ed and workforce sectors more broadly. The WGU Lab Fund itself invests in mission-aligned seed and pre-seed stage startups and provides accelerator support, ongoing support through our accelerator. I hope how is everybody's first day of conferencing, or maybe third day of conferencing, depending upon if you came to the air show? Yeah? Good. Only 2 more days to go. We are so excited to have you here, and thank you so much for joining us. We are joined by a distinguished panel of judges, a fantastic audience of investors, edtech entrepreneurs, and education leaders, and we are very excited that you could join us and cannot wait for you to hear from our just amazing finalists a little bit later. So in the spirit of innovation, the reason we did this is we're trying something different with the pitch competition in order to expand the pool of investment opportunities that with a relatively lightweight, I don't know what the finalists might say, we hoped it was relatively lightweight process that'll award the winner of today's pitch competition with a $50,000 cash investment, $25,000 in accelerator services, and a paid pilot from WGU of up to $25,000. So to start, I want to introduce our esteemed panel of judges. From Western Governors University, we have Debbie Fowler, who is the Senior Vice President of Academic Delivery, Sarah DeMark, who is the Vice Provost of Workforce Intelligence and Credential Integrity, and then Nadeem Syed, who is the Chief Financial Officer of WGU. In addition, representing the Strada Education Foundation, please welcome Laura McCoolidge-Wynn, who's the Vice President of Strategic Investments. Each of our judges brings a wealth of experience and insight to our competition, and we are so thankful that you could join us today. Okay, so here's how the competition is going to unfold. We're going to move pretty quickly here. We have 5 innovative companies that are ready to pitch their startups. Each founder will have 5 minutes to present, followed by a 3-minute Q&A session with our judges. While the judges deliberate on the winner, we invite you to stick around and participate in a happy hour with some drinks and light appetizers. We think it's a great opportunity to network, maybe talk about the pitches you just seen, and who knows, maybe talk about your next investment opportunity. So without further ado, I want to get going and let's dive into the pitches. So our first company today is Studious, presented by David Spector.
Hello. All right. How's it sound? Okay, good. All right. Great to see everyone. Excited to kick this off. So my name is David. I am a founder of Studious. And let's go. Oh. Here we go. Okay, so Studious was founded by a group of former tutors and teachers who saw firsthand challenges with upskilling in today's economy. From our perspective, there's been a shift from more of a learn once, work forever model to more of a demand for ongoing upskilling, and we think the learning models have not adjusted to this change in the market. Oh. So we've done, our research and polls and surveys have shown broad problems across the adult education community, crossing educational lines. So the first we find is time availability for studying and upskilling. People with busy family and lives and jobs don't have time for traditional models of long hours of studying. The second is costs. With ongoing upskilling and repeat upskilling, the cost burden of expensive courses is even higher across the board. So we find this to be particularly true with a couple groups. One is underrepresented professionals in some of the areas that we've started and launched our platform in finance, other verticals. The other is workers and folks pursuing non-degree credentials where they've been out of the education system for a while and they tend to be particularly challenged. Recently, Massachusetts has instituted a skill-based hiring platform, but there haven't been educational adaptations for this group. So what we're doing with Studious and our mission is really to enhance the human potential of the workforce with a series of innovations, starting with how we track skills and competencies. So unlike our competitors, we're breaking all of our professional exam certifications into over 1,000 competencies and building a unique profile of our users across those competencies so we can really recommend to them what to do today in the limited time that they have every day. So we're making content digestible in smaller chunks and adaptive. We also are really trying to bring in our background as tutors what we observed in terms of one-on-one support, helping with motivation for students who are struggling and feel helpless in the process. So what we're trying to do is build in, using behavioral science, some of these techniques to build off small wins, generate progress, and create more of a daily study habit while reducing costs. Okay, I'm going a little slow here, so things are going to pick up in speed. Okay, this is quickly on our content development process. We've created, over the last 6 months, a process where we integrate expert inputs with Gen AI inside of our platform, where we can now go into a new vertical for a test in about 3 to 4 weeks. And that's what's going to allow us to scale broadly across lots of exams and certifications and bring high-quality learning. We started with professional exams and finance because of our domain expertise, but we have a strong plan to enter 10 new exams in Q2 and Q3, followed by a series of workforce credentials by the end of the year. Everything from construction to automotive technician, dental assistant. There's all sorts of credentials that we have on the pipeline. Again, we're really passionate about this because we observed it ourselves, and the team, we have Ryan in the audience, who's our CTO, Ashley is an advisor with Harvard GSE, and we're really working on how do we bring learning, analytics, and research into this process of the AI modeling that we're going to be doing. I'll skip that one. And yeah, to close it out, we launched sort of our first version of this platform towards the end of last year, again, in finance exams, really as a test run for what we're trying to build. And what we've observed is really strong sort of repeat use, daily habit of people finding in 15, 20 minutes a day, seeing really good progress and ultimately passing the CFA exam. Our vision now is to scale across other exams given these universal challenges, but also take into account the differences in some credentials and professional needs. Thanks.
So thank you, David. What questions do the judges have for Studious? I guess I'll come over here. Excuse me.
You mentioned bringing on a number of additional professional exams. Would you say 10?
Yeah, so there's 4 additional finance exams in Q2, and then we're looking at real estate, which is adjacent sort of to finance, CPA and accounting, and then followed by that, we've done a lot of interviews, healthcare and nursing, social work exams, and those I think would be that would be the next sphere that we'd go into. But yeah.
How's been the process in working with the exam holders of getting their IQ built?
Yeah, so the way our model of tracking all the competencies of the exam, those are all officially published by a lot of the exam providers. What's innovative about what we're doing is building this learning path off of those, and in some cases, creating that set of competencies with an expert when they aren't published. But it's using that same technique that we've developed.
There was obviously some testimonials. Do you have like a success rate?
Oh, yeah, sorry, I'll just go. Yeah, we're at time, so let me just kind of wrap this. Yeah, so we've seen with the CFA close to 50% pass rate. The average is 35%, so we're seeing a bump there. We're also seeing over 50% of the users on our platform are women, and only 15% of CFA charter holders are women. So we're seeing a really diverse group of people who've been able to use this. It's really folks who are busy, don't have the time and don't want to pay the money for the traditional courses.
Thanks.
One minute.
So for your initial 228 active accounts, how did you land those accounts? Like, what was your go-to-market channel?
Yeah, so we've sort of focused on organic marketing and building community in online groups and professional communities that already exist, where people are seeking information. And we're trying to scale that strategy as we go into new channels. But a lot of it, word of mouth, is so powerful in this space. So if we can sort of amplify the word of mouth that we're getting, just expose it to more people, that's really our strategy. And we also have a partnership with the University of Utah, and we're working on sort of distribution through universities as well. So. Okay.
Okay. 30 seconds? Okay.
Last question.
Market sizing question. So when you say
Yeah.
$500 billion TAM,
Yeah.
what's in that TAM?
Yeah, so the TAM is, some of those numbers were the Hall and IQ numbers from last year, but it's basically the broad, all of the professional exams, certifications, and non-degree credentials, as well as the investment made on the part of corporations and universities to support training in those programs. So in our research, almost half of folks who take, say, the CPA exam for accounting or the CFA exam for finance are subsidized by their company to do so. So that's really how we look at the broad market, is our sort of bottom up calculation of that.
All righty. Thank you, David, and thanks to Studious. I'll give you that. I'll take that, and I'll give it to you next. Thank you. Okay, thank you again. That was great. Our next company is Reach Pathways, presented by Jeffrey Beckham.
I think I need the clicker, Dave. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. All right, great. Hello, everyone. My name's Jeff Beckham, and I serve as the co-CEO of Reach Pathways. I grew up on the south side of Chicago, and the clicker's not working. Next slide, please. I grew up on the south side of Chicago, and through the course of my career in both tech and healthcare, I never saw anyone that looked like me. I now see the same thing working as a nonprofit CEO and running a tech startup. Through the course of my career, I've worked to reach back to guide the next generation of leaders. Next slide. To understand Reach Pathways, you have to understand Chicago Scholars, which is a 30-year-old nonprofit that over the course of time has worked to serve nearly 6,000 young people. Those young people have and will now accrue over more than $6.8 billion than their peers through our college access programming, career and leadership programming. These scholars are leading companies. Miles Gage here is actually speaking today, one of our scholars, as founder of Rapunzel and the winner of the Yas Prize. Next slide. That organization gave us the traction to scale. We learned all of what we needed to do and what we wanted to do in terms of thinking about how we could take our work nationally. We started with the initial platform. That platform had a 90% adoption rate of users. We were able to generate more than $400,000 in ARR, working with 32 paying companies who paid for diverse talent for internship placements. That also yielded 300 plus jobs a year. Because of the way we're structured, with the unique relationship between Chicago Scholars and Reach, the two organizations can share intellectual property with one another. We're on pace to scale to grow to more than 50,000 active users and $1 million ARR in the next 2 years. Next slide. Reach, the platform, is a college and career pathways for under-resourced students. It's providing the hidden curriculum, all the things that you need to learn as an under-resourced student to find your way into your career. We do this by providing real-time, near-peer videos. Think TikTok with a purpose. We provide finances, jobs advice, and we tell students all the things they need to know, while companies and colleges can actually pay to access high-performing, under-resourced talent. We focused in 3 areas: business, healthcare, and tech to start. Next slide. Through our work with the National Science Foundation, when we won the Tools Prize, we learned over hundreds of hours of interviews that students and young people in particular wanted gaming. 87% of Gen Z play games, 94% of Gen Alpha play video games. And so we decided that as you enter into the platform, you'll have a front-end application to learn and access content, but you'll be able to enter into a gaming world. Think if Handshake had gaming applied to it as well. Students, through a community-based cohort learning model, can play games. They get points and badges for doing things like applying for internships and jobs and learning in real time. You also have leadership skill development happening in real time through learning pathways that are AI generated to help young people learn through the game. What if you could learn CPR through a gaming environment? That's what we've built and are building in Reach Pathways. We call it the in real life game of life. Next slide. Our model is externally validated by McKinsey. We've worked to understand that companies are looking for diverse talent. As CEO of Chicago Scholars, I got hundreds of calls during the pandemic of how could they find these young people that are first generation college graduates doing amazing things. So companies pay a license fee in a SaaS model. Colleges can also pay a small fee to access talent as well and provide reach to their students so that their students on campus who are under-resourced now have a place to go. We all know that so many of our college career centers are overworked and overburdened. We're trying to lessen that burden. Education institutions and schools can provide it as well for a small fee. We're already a partner and a vendor for Chicago Public Schools, and we have others on the way. Next slide. We're accessing 3 multi-billion-dollar markets. As I mentioned, companies can pay a fee, annual license fee for curated content, curated real-time people that can apply for the jobs, both internships and new hires. Marketing and advertising can happen in the game as well. We've already got Verizon and others, Madison Dearborn Partners, who are partners and are displaying their logos, their content, their videos inside the world. And education institutions, as I mentioned, like CPS, can also pay a fee to provide reach to their students. Next slide. Our team are experts in technology, operations, and education. I'm a 3-time founder myself and an artist with background in education and tech. We have a team of advisors, and to date, we've won the South by Southwest Pitch Competition, the Tools Prize, Catalyze, and we were named one of Fast Company's world's most changing ideas. Next slide. And because of the network that we have with the relationship of the nonprofit Chicago Scholars, we've already got access to thousands of students, hundreds of companies, and hundreds of colleges across the country. If you're looking to work with us, we need support. We're going to build the in real life game of life. Thank you very much.
Here? No, you can come over here. I'm going to come. Thank you, Jeffrey. What questions do the judges have?
It's really exciting. So tell me a little bit about the users you've already had on the platform. What are the successes? What have you learned from them?
Yeah, in our Alpha platform, we've got about 3,000 users currently, both mentors and students. We've seen that gaming and the gamification of the content is something that keeps them engaged and keeps them on the platform. We've learned a lot by watching our young people. The benefit that we have with the built-in user base of more than 3,400 current college students on campuses and a 1,500 plus alumni is that we brought them in as paid student advisors. And so they are actually helping us build the content, build the platform in real time. Similar to you think about the kids today, they're all playing Roblox, they're playing these games, they sit on PlayStation Network just to engage. And while engagement, when we were trying to do this through text messages and emails through our nonprofit became a challenge, these young people are engaged, they're interacting, they're taking full advantage of the content and the opportunities we disseminate through the platform. So we think now by bolstering the gaming component and building out the world with more quests, we'll get them more engaged and more excited about learning about their futures and applying for jobs.
How often are students logging into the app, and then what's the amount of time spent per day?
Yeah, so some of the early data, we have students log in about 3 to 4 times a week, and our advisors were spending anywhere between 45 minutes to an hour in the game. If we work to continue to enhance the in-game person-to-person components of that, right now they can talk kind of through a chatbot application. We're looking to do spatial audio so they'll be able to engage and verbalize and talk in the game. I think we get even more engagement. We actually won another grant from Google who will be helping us with that as well.
And what are you hearing from employers?
Yeah, so the nice part about the work and the team is that we've got great employer partners, and they continue to look for talent. They're the ones helping us derive and build the back end of what the application will look like. How do the talent lists come across? Can they submit applications that we can then use AI to subsplit and pull students from the database for? They're advising. A lot of that is being built now, and a lot of what we'll use in the next runway as we raise our seed round will go towards that. So a lot of that's in dev right now.
Two quick questions. One is there anything special in terms of protected IP in your environment technology-wise is one question. Second is beyond Chicago Scholars, how would you go about bringing users to your platform, students?
Yeah, second first. So because of Chicago Scholars Network, we have access to hundreds of colleges, school districts across the country. My background was actually working for New Teacher Center as head of digital, so I know a lot of our superintendents across the country. We'll leverage those relationships first, and then we'll go after other community-based organization partners after. A lot of students out there. The first question in terms of unique IP, most of this exists already. We're pulling in things, just utilizing the IP in a way that it hasn't been done before. Front-end dashboard, AI-based content pathways, building a game on Roblox. But the marriage of them together, along with Chicago Scholars IP that we have access to, which is protected, a lot of things there in that IP, including our arc of optimal college scholar success, which is vetted through a research trial, randomized controlled trial at the University of Chicago, is effectively the in real life game of life that we're putting inside the game. Thank you.
All right. Okay, thank you. Thank you to Jeffrey and Reach Pathways. So next up is the Apply AI presented by Virgin Adawar.
Hi, my name's Virgin. I'm the CEO of the Apply AI, and I'm also a career coach, which is why I can confidently say that this screen is turned off. Sweet. Like I was saying, probably my bad. I'm a career coach, and I can tell you this with confidence that getting a job is harder than it's ever been. We're applying to more places than ever. There's more competition for each role, yet recruiters are still expecting the absolute maximum, all while candidates are left in the dark about how they can actually improve, which is why the single biggest complaint we get is, I haven't been hearing back, and I don't understand why. Now, that's because self-advocacy is a skill, and it's a skill that most people just don't have. I'm not talking about writing a resume or getting a good interview answer. Self-advocacy is a complex and multi-step process that involves understanding what your best attributes are and delivering that information consistently and effectively to a variety of employers, and doing that time and time again during high-stress environments like a job hunt or a promotion cycle. So when we started the Apply AI, we noticed that there was no really good solution for the kind of equitable and effective self-advocacy help that we were looking for. You've got career services, and these counselors are great, but they're pretty overstretched, as the numbers can indicate. You've got private career coaches who can work with you in depth, but are also extremely expensive. And then you've got modern tech tools like Teal and LinkedIn. And these tools are actually surprisingly limited in what they can do. They can maybe generate a fancy looking document for you, but if you don't already understand what to say, if you don't already know what your talking points are, the output is just not going to be very good. And we see that same problem exists with generative AI as well, where unless the input is great, the output is pretty flat. Now, that's where we come in. I have over a decade of experience helping people get their dream job and university offer, and I also have experience in tech sales and strategy consulting. My co-founder Logan, shout out to Logan, is even more experienced than I am and brings in her learnings from workforce development research at Harvard. And then we have Ilsa, our chief product officer, resident AI whiz, and someone who's previously built a $13 million, the technology behind a $13 million Series A startup. And together, we've built a world-class career coaching experience that is scalable, accessible, and comprehensive. So let me tell you how it works. First, you tell us about yourself. The AI guides you through the process of talking about your past experiences like a great career coach would, by actively listening, asking good questions, and encouraging you throughout. We use your responses to build out your mental model. This is over 24 data points that act as the fuel in our self-advocacy engine. And we use that fuel to power dozens of flexible action workflows that generate highly personalized, highly tailored content that can help you get a job faster and more easily. Interested in a role? Paste in a job description. We'll use your mental model to give you resume bullets tailored for that specific role. Got an interview coming up? We'll tell you what questions to expect, give you talking points for each one, all grounded in an authentic understanding of who you are and what you're good at. Best of all, we'll even give you an explanation to go with the suggestion. So you don't just sound better, you learn to actually be better. And what I'm proudest of is that we've taken this messy and complex and, quite frankly, complicated challenge of self-advocacy and turned it into something really simple and straightforward as telling your story. And self-advocacy doesn't end just because you have a job, right? It's something that you need for promotions, performance reviews, and so our goal will be to evolve our advice along the way to match whatever your current career priorities and circumstances are. All you need to do is keep your mental model up to date, which you can do with as little as 5 minutes of talking to our AI, with as little as 5 minutes of talking to our AI, at most once a week. Now, I should also mention that the advantage of doing this is that you get both more job security and a better safety net. So in other words, not only can you walk into performance reviews with total confidence, not only can you stay on top of your skills growth in a really deep and meaningful way, but you also, if you do get laid off, are ready to apply for a new job within minutes. And as for why we're poised to succeed, we launched a beta in January. We've had over 200 users come on through word of mouth. And what we're seeing time and time again from these users is that they're seeing sides of themselves that they hadn't even considered existed just by virtue of using our tool. Last thing I'll end on is our plan for the future, which is to be your biggest ally when it comes to charting something as complicated as your career journey. Thank you so much for your time. Look forward to your questions.
Thank you, Virgin. So what questions did the judges have for the Apply AI?
Yeah, so I appreciate the initial traction through word of mouth, but how are you thinking about segmenting the market moving forward? Because that can only go so far.
Right. So in terms of the cohort that we're prioritizing, we're looking at early career professionals. We're looking at people who have a great need for that self-advocacy, but just don't have the experience. In terms of how we're going to get to them, the goal is to have a campus ambassador program to really leverage a good ground game to approach universities, sort of like WGU, and approach them with a great, compelling product that you can just give to your students and sort of accentuate how effectively they apply for jobs. And we think the success in one area, one institution, should beget success in a lot of others.
So if I were to participate in this, I'm
Yes.
assuming you would take things that I was telling the system about my education, my background, my experience. It would create this profile. But like, how are you matching it to like availability of jobs or like job descriptions? Like, what does that side look like?
So we aren't matching it to direct jobs yet. So to briefly reiterate the point, it is a guided self-reflection experience. What we're seeing is that LLMs are very good at analyzing certain bits of content if you're very precise in how you define it. So that's where those 24 data points come in. It captures a whole lot of information that is then used to create the sort of composite of who you are. And the other thing LLMs are good at is intersecting that information with something targeted or something contextual. So that's where adding that job description to our system will do that intersecting and give you insights like you should emphasize these skills. Maybe this is missing. Maybe this is something that you would, come up in an interview answer, so on and so forth.
Does it make any recommendations like, hey, this might be a really interesting field for you based off of your experience and background?
Yeah, so we've only just started a feature called Job Suitability, which based on a conversation will tell you, it sounded like you did X, Y, and Z really well. Have you considered doing A, B, and C? So we are starting to move not just in terms of giving you content and guidance, but also giving you advice and really things that move the needle forward.
So for your initial users, did you bring them on with like a monthly subscription?
We haven't integrated monetization yet. That was one of the slides I skipped. Right.
Oh, good, I didn't miss it.
No, you didn't. Right now, because my co-founder is enrolled at Harvard, we've had the benefit of really being able to tap into a lot of student communities and validate the idea there. We're going to have monetization in the next month, and the plan is to, essentially build out features that not only bring users on board, but have, sort of drive long-term retention. We see ourselves as a career companion, not just the kind of tool that you use for a few months in between jobs, but the kind of thing that you hold on to consistently over the course of the career that grows with you.
So my question, this might be a little tricky, but I'll ask anyway.
I'll do my best.
Given your scaling plan, what makes you think this wouldn't be a standard LinkedIn feature by the time you scale?
Have you seen LinkedIn develop a new feature recently? I think that's a very good question, and realistically, the thing that we have that's to our advantage is that we're AI native first. The way that you engage with the tool, the way that you share with the tool, the way that the tool captures information about you is thought of from the ground up by being AI facilitated. And so LinkedIn is going to have to conform to its existing business model. It's going to have to conform to its existing tech platform. I think if we move fast and we execute effectively, we can get a lead that would be hard to catch up with. Thank you.
Thank you to Virgin and the Apply AI team. Oh, so next up is Making Space, presented by Keely Cat-Wells.
Thank you. Corporations are grappling with a major crisis. $1 trillion is being spent on turnover costs annually, and there are unprecedented labor force shortages, largely due to the sluggish evolution of traditional education systems which are failing to keep up with the evolving workforce demands. With the corporate world facing such challenges, one would think that every talent pool has been exhausted. Yet here is a staggering reality. 1.8 billion people. A vast reservoir of talent remain largely untapped. Next slide, please. Disabled people are twice more likely to be unemployed than non-disabled people. They face challenges finding work due to inaccessible systems, a lack of access to skill-based education, and biases that happen during the hiring process. How do I know this? Next slide. I've lived it firsthand. As a disabled worker myself, after acquiring my disability when I was 18, when I moved to the US, I ended up losing a job due to disability discrimination. So I founded an agency, and it opened the doors to a $1.9 trillion market of people with disabilities. But I realized there was an even bigger opportunity to be had. So I sold the agency, and I have now created Making Space. Next slide. We are a talent acquisition and learning experience platform for companies to train, access, and retain pre-qualified disabled talent pools. When employers log onto our platform, they're able to answer a couple of prompted questions. What does success look like in this role? What are the essential outcomes? And we will create a purpose-built, job-specific, and skill-based curriculum for talent pipeline augmentation and career advancement. Employers can choose if this education is either public, for talent sourcing needs, or private, for employees only. And we also ensure that our education is accessible beyond compliance. We generate sign language interpretation, and we're compliant and accessible and can be collaborative with all assistive technologies, such as refreshable braille displays. Next slide. And we deliver a 500% ROI within the first year by driving down recruitment costs and improving retention. One of our corporate customers even reported within the first few months, they were able to generate a pipeline 3 times the size at 2 times the speed of their existing solution. Plus, 90% of their existing employees within the department that we sold into came forward and disclosed their disabilities, which enabled them to get the accommodations they needed, which led to increased productivity and retention. Next slide. And to maximize scale, we are building end-to-end integrations with existing enterprise infrastructure, such as applicant tracking systems, corporate hiring platforms, and our integrations and AI-powered technology enable disabled people to turn their lived experience into transferable skills and professional strengths. For example, a wheelchair user who navigates an inaccessible society, they have transferable skills, such as adaptability and perseverance. Next slide. So disability becomes the advantage, and our technology harnesses the power of analytics to create better matching and personalized educational experiences. Next slide. And we're already seeing impact. In just months, we've been able to go from concept to 6 figures in ARR with Fortune 500 companies, including Netflix, Amazon, and NBC. We make money by selling annual SaaS enterprise licenses, and we have an average contract value of $70,000. This means that the education on the platform will also always be free for our talent users. Next slide. I have an amazing team, full-time team of 6, and they have all been a part of startups that have either exited or IPO'd. Personally, I'm an exited founder. I've been on the Forbes Under 30 list, named a Fast Company Most Powerful Executive, a humanitarian laureate by the United Nations Young Activist Summit, and I'm also a disability rights advocate. I work closely with the State Department and the White House to create systemic change. And this has also been unlocking government contract opportunities for us. Next slide. Our goal is to create careers versus just jobs for the most underrepresented and underestimated population globally. And personally, as someone who didn't get the opportunity to complete college and was immediately discriminated against because of my chronic illness and disability, I wish that Making Space existed for the 18-year-old me. So by helping companies save money on their biggest yearly losses, integrating with major enterprise systems, and opening the doors to a huge untapped talent pool, we are poised for an impactful trajectory and would love to start making space with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Keely. So what questions do the judges have for Making Space?
I guess the first question is, in terms of the product itself, what is the actual product? So I'm trying to grasp, like, you have training and development for people with disabilities, access to employers, but if as a user, what am I getting, both as a person seeking a career opportunity, but also as an employer? What is the specific product itself?
Yeah, so we focus on micro-learning and bite-sized education. So initially, we were focused on the talent acquisition piece, which we feel is our wedge. So if you think about all open jobs and active roles, we look at the biggest gaps that you tend to see, the biggest skill gaps. So using the example of Netflix, one of our customers, they hire graphic designers every year, and they were able to find out using the platform that some of the biggest reasons why they don't hire people is because of a lack of industry knowledge and not proficiency within a certain software. So we were able to create bite-sized education that specifically spoke to both of those skill gaps. And then within just a couple of hours, people were able to then be pre-qualified and go in the pipeline and then actually get hired, which previously had completely prevented them from even getting an interview with the company.
Keely.
Hey.
So as you think about expanding your customer relationships beyond the 3 you mentioned, who are you targeting and who are you selling into? Like, what roles specifically in HR?
Yeah, so we have a land and expand strategy, and we are industry agnostic. Media has certainly been also our wedge, but we have got companies like the LA Metro System, Blue Origin, Square, Walmart, all in our sales pipeline. The roles have really been very different. We've had everything from actuaries to graphic designers to analysts and play-by-plays. And we are also able to pull from various different budgets, which I think is enhancing our recession-proof ability. So not just relying on HR, but also being able to expand into various different departments. For instance, we've pulled from contingent talent, sports department at NBC. We've pulled from early careers. So it's really a wide range and a big opportunity for us, both within that corporate world and also universities and government contractors and the government agencies.
40 seconds.
Okay, so quick question. How are employers like finding this talent? I mean, I know you said that, it's a wedge, but are they going through like their typical like ATS systems, or are they having to like tap into your system specifically to find the talent, or how does that connection work?
Yeah, thank you. So we are building integrations with the applicant tracking systems and also corporate hiring platforms. So eventually, and we've also just sold into Indeed.com, and we're not only helping them with their own hiring needs, but we're also working with them to build into their platform. So if you think about a kind of tick box before a company was able to upload their job description, they could choose to add Making Space. So if a person identified as disabled, they would get the opportunity to complete the bite-sized education and training during that process. So that's one of the ways.
One quick question.
Okay. All don't know how quick it'll be. I lead the faculty at WGU, serving 170,000 students. One of my biggest concerns is how I continue to hire. We have 2,700 faculty members serving those students. We endeavor to be the world's most inclusive university, so this is awesome. How might that work for hiring our course faculty?
Yeah, absolutely. And I was also thinking too, I think we talk a lot about disabled people within higher education and how difficult it is for disabled people to complete higher education. So we would also love to be a pathway for disabled students, both to get into higher ed and also as a bridge from graduation to into employment. But for faculty as well, there's also the opportunity for them to be able to complete disability awareness training and just have access to knowing how to work with disabled students and just have a better understanding. So that's a very quick, easy upsell for us that just exists on the platform.
Thank you to Keely and Making Space. So finally, last but not least, is Alma Learning, presented by Ilya Bremen. Right here.
Hi, everybody. My name is Ilya Bremen. I'm standing between you and the happy hour. Sorry, I'm the CEO and co-founder of Alma Learning. And I'll tell you about Alma. Last time I was at ASU+GSV, that was about 7 years ago, everybody was talking about overcrowded classrooms, high dropout rates, high failure rates, overworked teachers, and not much has really changed except one thing. With the advent of generative AI, we don't really have an excuse not to solve this problem and give individual attention and tutoring to every student. That's why we created Alma. Alma empowers educators with AI replicas that serve as their teaching assistants. It's not a reference chatbot that just answers questions about the syllabus or generates quizzes. It's a true guided learning experience with clear learning objectives. It can teach any subject and in any language. It's available on any device 24/7 or within an LMS. And it's a natural, empathetic, authentic conversation, just like how humans were always supposed to learn, not quizzes or essays. What's behind Alma is what we call Alma Magic. It decomposes the syllabus and teaching materials into learning objectives. It uses the information about the teacher to create a replica of their unique teaching style. And it uses the context about the student to make sure that it's adapted to their culture, to their language, and to their previous learning. The good thing is that the educator doesn't need to look under the hood. For them, it's just as easy as uploading a syllabus and their teaching materials. They don't need any technical skills. They don't need to spend any more time that they're already spending. What they get after they do this is a guided student experience design and the customized AI agents for every learning objective and every module, unique to that educator and to that course. It can be a case study discussion, it could be an individual tutoring session, it could be a post-class reflection, anything that a human teaching assistant is able to do. Our business model is pretty simple. We're starting with pilots at $10 per student per course. We're focusing primarily on gateway courses with high failure rates. Then we're transitioning to rolling it out throughout the institution for all foundational courses. Now, our goal is to charge $100 per student per year for all the courses when we do a full institutional rollout. We're targeting 235 million students globally, and that number is growing, especially in emerging markets. Our initial target is 2.5 million students in the United States who start college every year. And we're building Alma with first and second generation immigrant and international students in mind because they represent 1/3 of all those students. And that number is also growing. It's not just a nice thing to do, it also positions us really well for international expansion. We started small last year when we taught ourselves in the classroom, and we saw that the students loved it. We started showing it to educators in our network that we've built as we were developing our previous startup, and we saw that it really picked up. We got great feedback from them. They helped us develop the tool. And we started already charging some of the initial pilots who are returning customers. We are ready for full institutional deployment, and that's why we're trying to raise some money. Another great thing is that there is strong educational impact. Professor Sana Sayed here from the American University of Sharjah did an academic study with us, which is hopefully going to be published soon, and she divided her classroom into two sections. One was using Alma, one wasn't. The section that was using Alma clearly demonstrated increased engagement, increased motivation, and increased learning outcomes. We are a team of first-gen immigrants with AI expertise and decades of education experience, global education experience between us. And we think that this positions us well to create a tool that will have global impact. Our vision is to go from chat and voice this year to live Zoom sessions with AI replicas in the next 2 years, including in Metaverse. And we hope that in 6 years, the cost of compute are going to be so low that we'll be able to offer this experience to everybody on the planet for less than $1 a month. Thank you. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ilya. What questions do the judges have for Alma Learning?
How are you thinking about the monetization? I mean, you said $10 per course per student. In theory, it sounds good, but how's that looking like in your experience? Are schools prepared to lay out that kind of?
So not only schools are prepared, we actually have some educators who pay us out of pocket because it saves them a ton of time. And some educators are super passionate about making sure that the students learn, and they just don't have the time to do that. If you have 200 students in the classroom, all of them come to you at the end, before the exam with all the questions. Your TAs are not going to be able to do this, so they're willing to pay a few $100s to make this happen. But schools as well, yeah.
So it sounds like right now you are focused on selling to the professor in the classroom environment. Do you have a vision of moving this up to a department level?
Corporate level?
No, department level, like doing department sales, or is there an enterprise play that you're thinking about?
This is a pure enterprise play. Our, the educators that we're working with are our gateway into the educational institutions, but usually what happens after a pilot, they refer us to their heads of innovation or to vice provosts who are in charge of innovation. And this is what happened with, for example, with Sana Sayed. After we did a pilot with her, she brought us to the head of innovation, and we're actually speaking next week at the launch of their AI Hub to talk about those experiences in front of their educators as well as educators in the region.
And what are the students saying?
The students love it. So this is our favorite part because we can read some of those experiences. They say things like, "Oh my God, you sound just like real Sana." Or, for example, we did a pilot with a Berkeley and University of Washington professor, and the students did a course evaluation, and the numbers of people who said that the professor spent a lot of time with them went up, even though they know it's a replica. They know it's not a human. They know the professor didn't have more time because she only has 24 hours in the day, but they still felt that the professor was there for them. When we taught ourselves, we had a couple of, we did a case study and then we did a post-class reflection. We asked them, hey, could you just write an essay for a post-class reflection? Or you can do a chat with Alma. And they got a vote, and 32-0 was, we want to talk to Alma, because people want immediate feedback. People want to engage with a human. They don't want to do things that nobody does in real life. Like, who does quizzes at work, right? Who writes essays at work? Who write memos and stuff?
Awesome.
Quick question.
Okay, I'll be quick this time. So it seems like a critical part of this is uploading the teaching material that the course has. So talk to me about the conversations you're having with publishers. Has there been an additional cost necessary to get access to that teaching material?
It's not a 15-second answer. So there are two parts to it. So we actually spoke to some publishers, and they see this as a potential monetization, actually, to create programs on top of their existing materials. So that's one part of it. The other part is more legal. We are not using the way we give teaching materials to AI is the same way as you would give teaching materials to a teaching assistant. It's not because of the guardrails. It never spits out exact quotes. It also never gives you answers. It actually the whole system of guardrails around it is to guide students, not to provide them answers, which means that it only relies on the teaching materials to know what the course is about.
All righty. Well, thank you again to Ilya and the Alma Learning team. So please join me in thanking all the companies for these tremendous pitches. This was tremendous. So as our judges finalize their decision, please enjoy the reception. I think the bars are just outside. You've all got your wristbands, and we'll reconvene shortly to announce the winner of today's pitch competition. Thank you. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the reception. So the moment we've been waiting for has arrived. Before I announce the winner, I just want to thank all of the finalists. That it was a every pitch was amazing. Everyone is so enthusiastic, has such great ideas. We're inspired by the work you're doing. So I want to thank all the finalists for the hard work. And so at this moment, I want to go ahead and announce the winner. So it's my honor to announce that the winner for the inaugural WGU Labs pitch competition is Making Space. So congratulations to Keely and the entire team at Making Space. So Making Space, as I talked about at the beginning, the winner is going to receive a $50,000 cash investment from the WGU Labs Fund, $25,000 in accelerator services from our accelerator, and a paid pilot with WGU of up to $25,000. So again, thank you to everybody. This was really amazing. Before we close out, I just want to give a huge thank you to our judges, the participants, all of you, and again, the finalists and all the hard work. We really appreciate it. And we're just happy you could be here. We're looking forward to working with Making Space.